Michael Bennett gazed out from the expansive windows of his penthouse office, taking in the San Francisco skyline as it sparkled under the warm glow of the late afternoon sun. At 52, he possessed all that wealth could offer: the multimillion-dollar tech company he had created from the ground up, the stylish Tesla nestled in his private garage, and the admiration of Silicon Valley's upper echelon. Yet there was an unsettling void in his meticulously crafted existence, a sense of emptiness that eluded definition. In a humble apartment situated above a quaint bookstore, 25-year-old twins Jason and Alex Parker found themselves gathered around their mother Sarah's hospital bed. The illness advanced with an alarming swiftness, leaving them with a dwindling sense of urgency, as moments slipped away like grains of sand in an hourglass. Sarah's once lively face appeared ghostly against the white pillows, yet her eyes still radiated the familiar resolve that had characterized their childhood. The same expression she had while juggling double shifts at the diner to ensure there was food on the table, or during those late-night study sessions that ultimately led to scholarships for both of them at UC Berkeley. "Mom, please," Jason implored, gently grasping her delicate hand. "You've been mentioning Dad more often these last few weeks. At this point in our lives, who is he?" The question lingered, thick with 25 years of enigma and unvoiced realities. Sarah's gaze shimmered with unshed tears as she looked between her sons, each distinct in character, yet united by the same strong jawline and striking green eyes that had captivated her long ago. "Your father," she murmured, extending her hand toward the weathered leather journal resting on her nightstand, "is Michael Bennett." The revelation struck the twins like a tangible blow. In San Francisco, Michael Bennett was a household name, the tech mogul whose visage adorned magazine covers and whose enterprise, Bennett Innovations, was transforming the landscape of artificial intelligence. They had strolled by his building innumerable times, oblivious to the fact that they were passing the father they had never encountered. "But what is the reason?" Alex insisted, his voice trembling with feeling. "Why didn't you ever tell him about us? Tell us about him?" Sarah's fingers quivered as she opened the journal, unveiling newspaper clippings and aged photographs she'd concealed for years. "At 22, I was a junior software developer at my first startup," she began. "Michael was brilliant, ambitious, and married. When I discovered I was pregnant, his company was on the brink of its first significant breakthrough. He toiled through 18-hour days, battling to preserve his dream and maintain his marriage." She hesitated, taking a breath. "I couldn't bear the thought of being the one to shatter everything he had created. So I left, took a job across the city and raised you both on my own." The twins sat in shocked silence, their reality shifting beneath them. All those moments they had watched Michael Bennett on television or scrolled through articles about his achievements, his charitable work, his seemingly flawless life, he had been their father, residing just a few miles away, entirely oblivious to their presence. "Next week, he's hosting a charity gala at the Augustine," Sarah said softly, pressing the journal into Jason's hands. "I've preserved every article, every fragment of information about him, anticipating that one day you'd grasp it all. Perhaps it's time he learned the truth as well." The Augustine was San Francisco's most prestigious restaurant, where the city's elite congregated to witness and be witnessed beneath crystal chandeliers and gilded ceilings. As Sarah's words resonated, the twins exchanged a glance that conveyed everything: their lives were on the brink of transformation, and retreat was no longer an option. Join our community by subscribing to our channel. It inspires us to produce additional material for you. That evening, in the comfort of their shared apartment, Jason and Alex delved into their mother's journal, with each page uncovering another fragment of a mystery they had never realized was there. Images of a youthful Michael Bennett captured him confidently positioned outside his inaugural office. A transformed garage in Palo Alto. The familiar green eyes that met their reflection each morning stared back from those worn photographs, brimming with resolve and aspirations. "Check this out," Alex remarked, gesturing toward a newspaper clipping from 1999. That first year, he nearly lost it all. The company was just 3 days away from bankruptcy when he secured the Watson contract. He traced the headline with his fingers, contemplating how their lives could have diverged had Bennett Innovations not succeeded and transformed into a tech powerhouse. Jason perched at the modest kitchen counter, his laptop displaying the Bennett Innovations website. He whispered to himself about the keynote speech he was set to deliver at the charity gala. There was a certain irony in the situation of advocating for AI education in underfunded schools. Their father, now a proponent for the education of underprivileged children, had once watched his own sons navigate a childhood spent clipping coupons and searching for scholarships. The twins' modest apartment reflected their journey, with academic awards showcased on the walls, accompanied by cherished photos of their mother at their college graduation. They had battled fiercely for all they possessed, much like their father before them. Yet, while Michael Bennett carved out his success in the tech industry, his sons opted for distinct journeys. Jason embraced the role of an environmental lawyer, while Alex dedicated himself to the field of pediatric medicine. Do you recall those days when Mom would bring us to that quaint park near Bennett Innovations? Jason pondered, his mind drifting. She would prepare our lunches, and we'd spend hours there. I always assumed she enjoyed the scenery, but... His voice faded as the truth dawned on him. She had been offering them fleeting insights into their father's realm, the best she could do without disclosing the full reality. Alex accessed the Augustine's website on his phone, examining the lavish decor. "We can't simply stroll in there," he remarked. "That venue boasts a 3-month waiting list, and attendance at the gala is strictly by invitation." Yet, as he articulated his thoughts, a scheme began to take shape in his mind. Their mother had instilled in them the belief that with sufficient resolve, anything could be achieved. It was the journey they had taken through college, the way they had forged their careers from the ground up. A notification appeared on Jason's laptop. Another piece about Michael Bennett, this time delving into his recent divorce. The twins shared a look, a fresh realization settling in. For the first time in their lives, their father was single. The marriage their mother had fought so fiercely to preserve had ultimately unraveled, complicating their already tangled feelings even further. "We must discover a way into that gala," Jason resolved, his analytical mind dissecting the situation from every perspective. It wasn't just about meeting him, it was for Mom. She had held on to this secret for 25 years, believing she was safeguarding everyone. She has a right to understand what comes next. Alex nodded, retrieving his hospital ID badge. "I cared for the daughter of one of the Augustine's managers last month," he recalled. She had been immensely thankful when they identified her son's rare condition at an early stage. Perhaps. He allowed the notion to linger, a flicker of hope igniting between the brothers. As dusk settled over San Francisco, the twins lingered at their kitchen counter, enveloped by the remnants of their father's existence that their mother had meticulously kept. Outside, the luminous tower of Bennett Innovations stood tall in the distance, its lights shining vividly against the encroaching night. In merely a week, they would confront the man who had unwittingly influenced their entire journey. The father who may prefer to remain elusive, the success story observed from a distance, the crucial element of their family narrative that could alter everything. Michael Bennett's morning ritual was a meticulously crafted symphony of productivity. As his private elevator glided down to the lobby of his upscale high-rise, he perused the day's schedule on his tablet, hardly noticing the stunning bridge views through the expansive glass walls. At 52, he had perfected the skill of making the most of every moment, yet recently, a nagging sensation crept in, suggesting he might have overlooked something significant. The lobby doors swung open, unveiling his waiting Tesla, but an unexpected impulse caused him to hesitate. "I'll walk today," he informed his driver, catching both himself and the man who had been at his service every morning for the last 10 years off guard. The brisk morning air brushed against his face as he walked along the sidewalk, the sound of his Italian leather shoes echoing on the pavement. Deep in contemplation, Michael nearly bumped into a young man hurrying out of a coffee shop, medical scrubs peeking out from beneath his jacket. "I'm sorry," they both exclaimed at once, and there was something in the young man's tone that compelled Michael to take a second glance. Green eyes locked for a fleeting moment before the young doctor dashed off, running late for his shift at the hospital. Inside the coffee shop, Jason halted, his cup suspended midway to his lips, having observed the near encounter between his twin brother and their father. Alex, in his haste, had failed to recognize who he had collided with, but Jason had instantly identified Michael Bennett. His hands shook slightly as he retrieved his phone to message his brother, observing their father move along the street through the cafe window. Michael's path led him past a quaint park, the very place where Sarah had once taken their sons. He halted, overwhelmed by a memory that had lain dormant for years. A young woman with auburn hair, her laughter ringing out as she unraveled a coding problem, her intellect on par with his. Sarah Parker. She had disappeared so abruptly just as the company was gaining momentum. Initially, he had sought her out, but life had propelled him onward like an unyielding current. Later that morning, in his office, Michael found himself entering Sarah's name into a search engine. It was a ritual he had performed intermittently over the years, consistently coming up empty-handed. This time, a recent article caught his attention. Bay Area Children's Hospital welcomes new pediatric resident, Dr. Alex Parker. The young doctor's photo made Michael's heart skip a beat, though he couldn't quite understand why. Maybe it was merely the name that evoked distant recollections. The school reached out once more, his assistant Jennifer entered with his afternoon coffee. They remain eager for you to present at Career Day next month. Michael nodded absent-mindedly, his thoughts lingering on the article. The son he had with his ex-wife was away at boarding school in Switzerland, their relationship now limited to holiday visits and monthly phone calls. "Cancel my dinner at the Augustine tonight," he said abruptly. "I need to review the charity gala preparations myself." The restaurant's manager, Thomas, welcomed him personally when he arrived that evening. As they talked about the upcoming event, Michael's gaze kept wandering to a well-worn leather journal abandoned on one of the tables. "Someone must have left this earlier," Thomas remarked, following his line of sight. Two young men, perhaps lawyers or doctors. They were inquiring about the gala. He reached for the journal, but Michael dismissed his offer to take a look at it. Lost items held no significance for him, yet the worn leather tugged at something deep within. That evening in his vacant penthouse, Michael found himself at his usual place by the windows. A notification from his son in Switzerland illuminated his phone, yet another postponed visit. The city lights shimmered as memories of Sarah flooded back, her voice echoing the sentiment that everyone was entitled to a second chance at their aspirations. He had founded his company on this very principle, convinced that every setback was merely a precursor to triumph. Yet, a nagging feeling lingered, suggesting he had faltered at something essential. The charity gala loomed just 5 days ahead. Michael was unaware that his meticulously crafted reality was on the brink of transformation. For 25 years, the truth had been shadowing his existence, and soon those two paths would converge. Subscribe to our channel. It inspires us to produce even more content for you. Alex rushed into their apartment, still clad in his hospital scrubs, his face glowing with enthusiasm. "You won't believe this," he exclaimed to Jason, who was buried in papers at their modest dining table. "This morning, I unexpectedly encountered him, and it didn't dawn on me until I received your message." Jason set aside the legal documents he had been examining. "I witnessed the entire scene from Pete's coffee shop. It felt as if I were witnessing a scene unfold, Alex. Identical in stature, stride, and even the manner of saying sorry." He brushed his fingers through his hair, a fidget they both had in common. "But that's not even the most significant revelation. I accidentally left Mom's journal at the Augustine yesterday." Alex's eyes widened in surprise. "You what? How did you manage to get in there?" "I had a lunch meeting with a client," Jason explained. "It was very carefully orchestrated, I might add. But here's the thing. An hour later, I returned to collect it, and the manager informed me that Michael Bennett had been there. He noticed the journal belonging to Alex. He didn't open it, but he did see it. The twins remained in a heavy silence, absorbing the weight of the day's revelations. Their mother's journal rested between them, returned yet altered, as if their father's fleeting touch had imbued it with new significance. Within its pages lay more than mere newspaper clippings and photographs. It contained Sarah's intimate reflections, penned in her tidy script, revealing her aspirations, anxieties, and the motivations behind each decision she had taken. Mom's latest scan results came back, Alex said softly, the morning's excitement dissipating. The treatment isn't working as well as we had hoped. He pulled out his phone to show Jason the calendar app. The gala is just 4 days away. Time is slipping through our fingers. Jason nodded, retrieving an elegant cream-colored envelope. Do you recall the environmental lawsuit I triumphed in last month? The case against that major tech firm? A faint smile tugged at his lips. It appears the judge is part of the Augustine's board of directors. He expressed his gratitude for our out-of-court settlement, which spared his brother's company from public disgrace. Feeling a deep sense of appreciation, we received 2 invitations to a particular charity gala. Alex gazed at the invitations, their gold lettering shimmering in the late afternoon light. We're really doing this, he breathed. After all this time, we're finally going to meet him. He hesitated, a realization hitting him. What should we wear? We can't just arrive in scrubs and a typical lawyer's suit. The following day brought them to a high-end menswear shop in Union Square, where they were being fitted for tuxedos that stretched their budget. As the tailor busied himself, they observed their images in the 3-way mirror. They were no longer the underprivileged scholarship students, but rather refined young professionals who could seamlessly fit into Michael Bennett's realm. Last week, the tailor remarked casually while adjusting Alex's collar, Mr. Bennett was in here. He was having his gala tuxedo altered, quite particular about the details, just like you young men. The twins caught each other's reflections in the mirror, a peculiar echo of their ever-blurring journeys. That evening, they made their way to the hospital to see Sarah, their freshly tailored tuxedos neatly draped in their shared closet back home. Their mother lay asleep, her expression serene amidst the beeping machines that filled the room. A news segment played softly on the hospital room's TV, featuring Michael Bennett at a tech conference. Today's youth need opportunities, his voice resonated gently. Everyone deserves a chance to realize their full potential. The twins observed their father animatedly discussing educational access and second chances, the same fierce determination in his eyes that had inspired them throughout years of hard work and sacrifice. A nurse came in to check Sarah's vitals, stopping in her tracks when she noticed the TV. "Oh, Mr. Bennett. He's done so much for our pediatric ward," she remarked to Alex. Constantly inquiring about the tales of the children, their backgrounds. Who would have imagined that a tech mogul could possess such humanity? Alex concluded, his voice heavy with feeling. Jason grasped his brother's shoulder, both of them gazing at their father's recognizable yet peculiar visage on the screen, aware that in mere days, they would finally confront him in person. The day prior to the gala emerged shrouded in gray mist, a quintessential San Francisco atmosphere that mirrored the twins' reflective state of mind. In the hospital, Sarah experienced one of her brighter days, propped up in bed while Alex took it upon himself to monitor her vital signs, struggling to distinguish between his duties as a physician and his identity as her son. "I discovered something else in the journal," she remarked, her voice more robust than it had been in recent days. From beneath her pillow, she retrieved an old, creased envelope. Inside lay a letter she had begun to write to Michael 25 years prior but never sent. "I tried so many times to tell him," she said, passing it to Jason. "I composed numerous drafts but struggled to capture the essence." The letter started, "Dear Michael, and by the time you read this, our sons will have arrived." The twins shared the moment, their father's name at the top fading as tears welled in their eyes. The pages brimmed with Sarah's aspirations, anxieties, and above all, her unwavering conviction that she was acting in the best interest of all. "You never stopped loving him, did you?" Alex inquired gently, observing how his mother's fingers glided over the worn ink. A smile graced Sarah's face, embodying both happiness and sorrow in her gaze. I admired his principles, his commitment, his foresight, and his conviction that technology had the power to improve the world. Yet, what I cherished even more was the realization that a piece of him continued through both of you. Each time you boys expressed enthusiasm for a science project or tackled a challenging problem, I recognized his spirit in you. Meanwhile, across the city, Michael Bennett sat in his office, poring over his speech for the gala. The words seemed empty, his typical assurance rattled by the unusual occurrences of the past few days. The encounter with the young doctor, the lost journal at the Augustine, the lingering memories of Sarah, all of it swirled in his mind like fragments of a puzzle he couldn't quite piece together. His phone buzzed with a text from his son in Switzerland, unable to make it home for Christmas once more. Dad. School ski tournament. Michael stared at the message, recalling how he had missed his own son's birth due to an important investor meeting. History often has a tendency to echo, though not always in anticipated manners. In their apartment, the twins busied themselves with the last-minute details for the gala. Alex stood before the mirror, refining his introduction, experimenting with various phrasings that could alter the course of their evening. Mr. Bennett, what about your sons? Each iteration felt both overly blunt and insufficiently clear. Jason occupied their modest desk, legal pad poised in hand, diligently noting every conceivable scenario and response they could face. This was his approach for court cases, yet this situation held greater significance than any trial. We must prepare for whatever comes our way, he murmured. He could be furious, bewildered, or perhaps simply skeptical of our words. The letter from their mother rested open between them, its pages frayed at the folds where Sarah had meticulously bent and rebent them through the years. A single line resonated: they possess your determination, Michael, and your heart. Though they have never encountered you, they have embraced your finest traits. A message from the hospital disrupted their preparations. Sarah's fever had surged once more. They hurried back to discover her sleeping restlessly, her complexion waning against the stark white pillows. The doctor and Alex promptly examined her charts while Jason clasped her hand, both keenly aware of the fleeting nature of time. Tomorrow, Alex whispered, gazing out the hospital window at the shimmering towers of downtown, where the Augustine's graceful facade stood in anticipation. Tomorrow everything changes, or nothing changes, Jason interjected, articulating their mutual apprehension. We must be prepared for that as well. As dusk enveloped the city, the brothers ventured to Pete's Coffee for one last time, a place where their father's presence had nearly brushed against theirs just days earlier. Through the glass, the illuminated headquarters of Bennett Innovation stood tall against the skyline, a symbol of achievement and creativity that had influenced their lives from a distance. Alex retrieved their mother's journal once more, poring over the scattered pieces of their father's story. Do you think he ever wondered about her? He asked. Ever tried to find her? Jason observed a flow of employees exiting the shining tower in the distance. Tomorrow, he declared with conviction, we'll uncover everything. The Augustine shimmered like a precious gem in the twilight, its Art Deco exterior aglow with sophisticated copper sconces. Within, the twins occupied the lavish entrance hall, their rented tuxedos signifying their brief inclusion in this realm. The marble floors sparkled under the brilliance of crystal chandeliers, while the gentle whispers of San Francisco's high society created an atmosphere thick with expectation. Mr. Parker. Dr. Parker. Thomas, the restaurant manager, approached them with a welcoming smile. We have you seated at table 7. He gestured toward the main dining room, where round tables draped in cream-colored silk were scattered throughout the space like islands in a sea of elegance. Mr. Bennett will, of course, be at the head table. He's running a bit late due to a last-minute conference call. Jason's hand instinctively moved to his pocket, where their mother's letter lay alongside the journal. They weighed the decision carefully, contemplating the importance of including these fragments of their shared past in this significant moment. Just then, Alex's phone vibrated with a message from the hospital. Their mother was stable and resting comfortably. For now, a burden lifted. The brothers approached their table, acutely attuned to the surroundings. The silverware shimmered like precision tools beneath the gentle glow, and the wine glasses chimed delicately at their slightest caress. They found themselves among a group of young professionals, including a software engineer from Google, a biotech researcher, and a venture capitalist. These were the types of individuals they might have crossed paths with under different circumstances. "Did you catch the latest profile of Michael Bennett in Tech Weekly?" the venture capitalist inquired, clearly eager to make connections. "Rumor has it he's on the brink of a groundbreaking shift in AI education. His ability to perceive links that elude others is nothing short of remarkable." Alex and Jason shared a glance, fully aware that they were about to forge a connection that would astonish everyone present. The venture capitalist misinterpreted their expression as intrigue and began recounting a tale about Bennett's renowned knack for recalling every employee's name and the minutiae of their lives. A wave of anticipation swept through the audience as photographers clustered near the entrance. "He's here," someone murmured, and the twins sensed their hearts beating in flawless harmony. They stood there, captivated as Michael Bennett made his entrance. He glided through the room with effortless assurance, exchanging handshakes and addressing everyone by name. In proximity, the likeness was unmistakable. The same tall frame, the same tilt of the head while listening, the same subtle smile that fell short of reaching their eyes when anxious. He donned a tuxedo from the same tailor who had outfitted them, another thread weaving through their parallel lives. "That's unusual," Thomas murmured as he walked by their table. "Mr. Bennett adorns his father's watch this evening, a piece he typically reserves for board meetings." The twins exchanged glances between the vintage timepiece on their father's wrist and the matching one captured in the photograph nestled within their mother's journal, a poignant reminder that the past lingers, quietly ticking away beneath the surface of their lives. The room fell silent as Michael stepped up to the podium, meticulously arranging his notes with the same deliberate care Alex exhibited before a surgical procedure, mirroring the focused diligence Jason applied to his legal documents. "Good evening," he began, his voice resonating throughout the space. "Tonight, we gather to discuss second chances." As their father spoke about opportunity and transformation, the twins sensed the heaviness of their mother's letter tucked away in Jason's pocket, the years of silence encapsulated in her meticulous handwriting. They had intended to wait until after the speech to approach him in private, but fate had different ideas. A disturbance near the entrance caught everyone's attention. Even Michael's, a nurse from the hospital rushed in, scanning the room anxiously until her eyes landed on Alex. "Dr. Parker," she exclaimed, momentarily losing her composure in her haste. "It's your mother. You must come immediately." The atmosphere grew still. Michael Bennett halted his words, a fleeting expression crossing his face upon hearing the name Parker. In that stillness, as every gaze fixed upon their table, the twins sensed their meticulously crafted schemes were on the verge of disintegrating in unforeseen ways. Subscribe to our channel. Your support inspires us to produce even more content for you. The stillness in the Augustine felt like an endless moment as Michael Bennett gazed at the twins, his words slipping away from him. A spark of recognition ignited in his eyes. Not directed at them in particular, but at something known, something that had been lingering in his mind all week. The young doctor he had encountered, the neglected journal, the name Parker resonating in his thoughts. "Sarah Parker," he murmured into the still active microphone from his disrupted speech. The name lingered in the atmosphere like an incantation, shifting the sophisticated charity gala into a realm that felt more personal and visceral. "Your mother is Sarah Parker." Alex was already heading for the exit, his instincts as a doctor kicking in, but Jason remained firm, retrieving their mother's journal from his pocket. "Yes," he said, his voice resonating through the shocked silence. "The woman who worked for you 25 years ago." The junior developer vanished into thin air. Michael clutched the podium tightly, his knuckles pale. He glanced at Alex, recalling the coffee shop where it all began. The journal at the restaurant. His gaze flitted between them, absorbing every likeness, every common trait. "Twins," he murmured, the word scarcely escaping his lips. The other guests remained still, observing a private moment that resembled a cinematic scene playing out before them. The venture capitalist at their table paused mid-sip, his wineglass hovering in the air. The photographers, who had been capturing the event, lowered their cameras, recognizing that this was a moment too intimate to document. "We need to get to the hospital," Alex said urgently to his brother. Then, looking directly at Michael, he added, "She's been asking for you." Michael Bennett, the man who had built an empire on split-second decisions, known for his quick thinking and decisive action, stood motionless for what felt like the first time in his life. Without uttering a single word to the throngs of guests, he descended from the podium and made his way directly to his sons. "My car's outside," he stated, blending his commanding presence with a fresh sense of paternal care. "We'll take it." The journey to the hospital felt almost dreamlike. Michael found himself sandwiched between his sons in the plush back seat of his luxury sedan, the journal resting open on his lap. His hands quivered slightly as he absorbed Sarah's unsent letter, his gaze darting over the words penned 2.5 decades prior. "She never intended to hinder you," Jason said softly. "Your business was on the verge of success, and your first marriage was already in turmoil. She made the decision she believed was best for all involved," Alex interjected, his medical background allowing him to keep his emotions in check despite the turmoil within. Michael lifted his gaze from the letter, his expression revealing a lifetime of uncelebrated birthdays, graduations, and father-son moments crashing down on him simultaneously. "All those times," he said, his voice thick with feeling, "all those times I passed that park, something urged me to pause and take notice. To truly see." He turned to Alex. "You possess her kindness in your eyes." Then to Jason, and her unwavering stance for what is right. The car came to a stop at the hospital entrance, and just before they stepped out, Michael fished an old, weathered photograph from his pocket. It captured a moment of him and Sarah at a company picnic, both caught in laughter over a long-forgotten joke. "I've held on to this for 25 years, he confessed. Uncertain of the reasons behind my inability to release it. As they hurried through the hospital corridors, their 3 pairs of identical footsteps resonating together, the burden of the last 20 years appeared to transform into something different. They were not merely racing toward Sarah's room. They raced toward a future that had seemed unimaginable just hours before. Inside the room, Sarah's eyes fluttered open at the sound of their arrival. She caught sight of her son first, then Michael, and a serene smile blossomed on her face. "You found each other," she whispered, extending her hands toward all 3 of them. At last, the hospital room transformed into a haven of hushed confessions and rekindled bonds. The steady beeping of Sarah's medical monitors filled the air as Michael drew a chair closer to her bedside, his son standing guard on either side. The refined tuxedos they all donned felt strangely fitting for this significant reunion. "I sought you out," Michael murmured to Sarah, gently clasping her delicate hand in his. "For months after your departure, I had others looking for you. But you had changed your number and moved across the city." Sarah's eyes brimmed with tears. "I was so cautious. Changed jobs and used my maiden name. I believed I was safeguarding your aspirations, your future." She gazed at her sons. "Yet, I ensured they were aware of all there was to know about you. Each accomplishment, each significant moment." "The park opposite Bennett Innovations," Alex remarked, realization lighting up his face. "Those lunches were not mere chance, were they, Mom?" Sarah offered a faint smile. "I aimed for you to sense the bond with your father's realm, even if you weren't fully immersed in it at that moment. Observing you both engage in play revealed so many of his traits within you. The manner in which you tackled challenges together, never relenting until a solution emerged, was truly remarkable." Michael abruptly rose and moved to the window. His reflection revealed the tears he struggled to conceal. "All those years of success," he said, his voice heavy with emotion, building the company, changing the world through technology. I believed that sense of emptiness was merely the cost of success. Yet, it wasn't success I was lacking. He glanced back at his sons. It was you. Both of you. Jason revealed his phone, displaying the graduation photos to Michael. We received full scholarships to Berkeley, he said. Mom took on extra shifts to purchase our first suits for the interviews. Berkeley, Michael echoed, a wistful smile gracing his lips. That's where Sarah and I crossed paths. She stood out as the brightest mind in our advanced programming class. He gazed at his sons, a swell of pride building within him. A lawyer and a doctor. You've accomplished so much on your own. But with your lineage, Sarah added gently. Your resolve. Your brilliance. She grasped Michael's hand tightly. I often shared tales of the remarkable programmer who envisioned a future where technology would democratize education. My children were raised with the understanding that their father aspired to improve the world. As Alex monitored his mother's vital signs, his professional composure momentarily overshadowed his feelings. Her stats are improving, he declared, relief clear in his voice. The crisis has passed. Michael observed his son at work, recognizing the same intense focus he himself displayed when tackling intricate challenges. The children's ward, he said abruptly. The one I've been supporting. That's where you work, right? Alex nodded. I was unaware that you were the anonymous donor until just recently. I've been working with children who received a second chance thanks to your foundation. Second chances, Michael reflected, recalling his disrupted speech at the gala. He swiftly pulled out his phone, fingers flying over the screen. Jennifer, cancel all my meetings for next week. Family emergency. He gazed at his sons, aware of the 25 years of memories waiting to be shared. Sarah observed the three men she cherished most, her heart brimming with love even in her fragile state. Michael, she said softly, there's something more you need to understand. She gestured to Jason, who retrieved a hefty folder from his briefcase. We've been developing something, Jason elaborated, laying out legal documents and technical specifications. A groundbreaking educational software that merges AI with accessibility features for disadvantaged students. We've dedicated our spare time to turning the dream of universal education access into a reality. Michael's hands shook as he sifted through the papers, witnessing his own vision mirrored in his son's distinctive viewpoints. Alex's medical insight into learning disabilities intertwined with Jason's legal expertise and commitment to educational equity. Like father, like sons, Sarah whispered, observing Michael's face illuminate with the same passion she had cherished all those years ago. The monitors beeped steadily, marking time as this newly formed family started to close the gap that had kept them apart for so long. Dawn broke over San Francisco, casting a gentle golden hue across the hospital room. Sarah had finally succumbed to a tranquil slumber, while Michael and his son stayed alert, their tuxedo jackets casually hung over chairs, engaged in hushed conversation as they wove together 25 years of intertwined lives. I remember this day, Michael remarked, gesturing to a photograph in the journal of the twins from a science fair. That year, I was serving as a judge for a regional competition. I likely walked right by you. We took home first place, Alex beamed. Developed a rudimentary AI system capable of diagnosing fundamental plant diseases. My mother beamed with pride. Now I see why she was so adamant about entering that particular competition. She always held on to the hope that our paths would intersect and the moment was perfect, Jason remarked, adjusting his bow tie. We even named our educational software project Bennett Bridge. We believed we were merely paying tribute to your contributions, but she understood it would ultimately connect more than just educational divides. Michael retrieved his phone, displaying images from his personal journey, the formative moments of Bennett innovations, the technological advancements, the charitable efforts. He confessed that every achievement felt lacking. I immersed myself in philanthropy, attempting to address a void I couldn't articulate. In that moment, clarity washed over me. I had been searching for you both without realizing it. Sarah shifted in her slumber, prompting Alex to swiftly assess her condition. Her vitals were strong and stable, and as he relayed the news, the facade of professionalism faded, exposing the deep relief of a son. The new treatment protocol is exceeding our expectations. I want to move her to a private room, Michael said, already reaching for his phone. The finest care, the most skilled doctors. Jason placed a hand on his father's arm. She wouldn't approve of that, he said softly. Mom has always valued earning things through hard work. That's the reason she ensured we received scholarships rather than accepting charity. Michael's eyes brimmed with pride and comprehension. It mirrored her choice to avoid the simple route by sharing the truth about you. She aspired to achieve greatness, and wished for your triumph, defined by your own standards. He surveyed the familiar hospital room, perceiving it from a fresh perspective. Yet, perhaps there is a way to reach a compromise. Alex, you mentioned the children's ward requires some updates. The next few hours passed quickly as father and sons collaborated, their shared traits clear in their multifaceted approach to challenges. Michael's business insight blended effortlessly with Alex's medical knowledge and Jason's legal expertise, crafting solutions that would benefit not only Sarah but many other patients as well. We should return to the Augustine, Jason suddenly recalled. The gala? Michael brushed it off with a wave of his hand. Jennifer's taking care of it. There are priorities that outweigh charity events. He paused, gazing at his sons with contemplation. Perhaps it would be wise to consider a different kind of celebration soon. A more intimate one. Sarah awoke to discover her 3 men gathered around laptops and papers, collaborating as if it were second nature to them. Her voice barely above a whisper, she declared her dream had come true, capturing their focus. Michael approached her bedside, gently taking her hand. Sarah, I want to assist with their software project, he said earnestly. Not in the role of a CEO or investor, but as their father. They have crafted something extraordinary, something that has the potential to transform lives. Like father, like sons, she smiled, reflecting on her earlier sentiments. I always had a feeling they would eventually reach your world, Michael. They simply had to carve out their own journey first. With the morning light streaming into the room, the family started to envision their future together. Michael was determined to relocate his office nearer to the hospital while Sarah healed. The twins recounted tales from their youth, piecing together the gaps of their father's absent years. Meanwhile, Sarah observed everything with a serene sense of fulfillment, aware that her long-held dream of reuniting her family had at last come to fruition. In that ordinary hospital room, an extraordinary new chapter was unfolding. The parallel lines of their lives had finally intersected, forming a pattern more beautiful and intricate than any of them could have envisioned. Subscribe to our channel. It inspires us to produce even more engaging material for you. Half a year later, the Augustine's refined dining area was once again bustling with San Francisco's high society, but this time for a markedly different event. Michael Bennett stood at the podium, flanked by his sons, as they unveiled the Bennett Bridge Foundation, a collaborative effort aimed at transforming educational access through technology. Sarah sat in the front row, her health improved enough to attend this milestone moment. She watched with tears of joy as Michael began his speech, so different from the one interrupted half a year ago. Success, Michael said, his voice filled with heartfelt emotion, is not measured in dollars or technological breakthroughs. For 25 years, I believed I possessed it all, wealth, recognition, influence. Yet, I overlooked the most precious treasure of all, family. He gazed at his sons, a swell of pride in his heart. Occasionally, life presents us with opportunities for renewal in the most surprising forms. My sons have shown me that achievement devoid of affection is empty, and that genuine richness is found in the relationships we cultivate with those around us. The display behind them showcased the Bennett Bridge software in operation, an advanced AI-powered platform that tailored itself to each learner's style, dismantling obstacles of language, disability, and financial background. Yet, it transcended mere software, it became the vital link that united their family at last. Our mother, Alex, took a step forward, indicating Sarah, and imparted the lesson that every individual is entitled to the opportunity to realize their fullest potential. Through her own actions, she demonstrated that diligence, honesty, and resilience hold greater significance than privilege or situation. Jason went on, she had the option to choose the simpler route, leveraging our father's name to ensure our future. Instead, she bestowed upon us something far more precious. The resolve to carve our own paths and the insight to recognize that genuine success is rooted in uplifting others. The audience was spellbound as Michael announced that Bennett Innovations would offer the software at no cost to underfunded schools across the country. The twins had firmly advocated for this condition, reflecting their mother's values and their father's charitable nature. Following the presentation, in a serene moment away from the throngs, the family convened in the same nook of the Augustine where the twins had initially intended to meet their father. Sarah clutched the worn journal, now paired with a fresh one that detailed their path of reunion and redemption. As Michael gazed at his family, he pondered the years he dedicated to creating technologies that linked people globally. Yet, he realized he had never grasped the significance of the most vital connection until this moment. He grasped Sarah's hand, a silent promise of forgiveness, understanding, and fresh opportunities. Success isn't merely a solitary achievement, Alex reflected, considering the countless patients who would gain from their foundation's medical education efforts. It's about elevating others as you journey forward. And family, Jason emphasized, transcends mere DNA or fate. It revolves around choices, choosing to love, to forgive, to embrace second chances. Sarah flipped open the old journal one final time, revealing the first article she had preserved about Michael's triumph. Beside it, she set down a recent newspaper clipping regarding the Bennett Bridge Foundation, highlighting the tale of a family brought together by their common goal of making education available to everyone. Some bridges, she murmured, require time to construct. Yet once established, they have the power to transform everything. Outside the Augustine's windows, the San Francisco fog rolled in, but this time it didn't divide their worlds, it brought them together, a family finally complete, their success not counted in millions of dollars but in the countless lives they would impact together. Ultimately, Michael Bennett realized that his most significant accomplishment wasn't the empire he had constructed or the innovations he had developed. It was the enduring legacy of love, resilience, and kindness that Sarah had imparted to their sons. True wealth is found not in personal gain, but in the generosity we extend to others. The genuine fortune they discovered was not measured by bank balances or investment returns. Instead, it resided in the second chances life presents and the bravery to seize those moments when they arise. Ultimately, no achievement in the world can rival the profound miracle of a family reuniting, forging connections through time toward a future filled with love, meaning, and the wealth that genuinely counts. If this narrative of family, redemption, and true fulfillment resonated with you, we invite you to explore many more uplifting stories on our channel. From touching reunions to transformative experiences, each video offers genuine accounts that remind us of life's true priorities. Explore our other videos that delve into remarkable family revelations, fresh opportunities, and the essence of achievement. Be sure to subscribe and activate notifications to become part of our community of narrators and enthusiasts. Your support enables us to keep sharing these impactful messages of hope, affection, and the delightful surprises life has in store for us.